So you want to reach financial independence a little bit sooner, but you don't know how. I've been deep in this FI world for quite a few years now, and I've realized that it's possible if you can master a few simple habits along the way. But before we get into those juicy habits that'll skyrocket your financial independence journey, I first need your help to ensure that my dog Molly eats next month by tapping that thumbs up button. While it does have a lot to do with the amount of wealth that you have, it's more about having the ability to choose to do or choose not to do certain things. There's even different levels of FI as well. Someone who pays off all of their bad debt has reached a higher level than someone who is on the continuous hamster wheel of taking on debt to buy things that they can't afford. Someone who has a 3-month emergency fund has reached a higher level of FI than someone who has $0 saved up, which forces them to stay at a job that they really don't enjoy. And the ultimate level of financial independence is, of course, someone who can do whatever they want, whenever they want, regardless of the amount of money that it costs. Where it starts, though, is with your identity. To reach FI sooner, you need to change your identity to someone who is on the path to financial independence. If you walk into a coffee shop and see someone sitting there reading a book, then you immediately attach an identity to that person that they're a quote-unquote reader. Not because she told you that she was a reader, but because she signaled to you that she's a reader by the act of reading a book in public. Doing something a couple of times doesn't make you that thing, though. It's a start, but you haven't taken full ownership of that identity yet. If I told you that I meditated this morning, then that doesn't tell you much about my relationship to meditation. But if I pull up my meditation app and show you that over the past 3 years, I've meditated over 1,100 times for roughly 15,000 minutes, then it's pretty obvious that my identity is that of a meditator. It's one thing to say I'm the type of person who wants to pursue financial independence. It is something completely different to say I am the type of person who is pursuing financial independence. James Clear said it best in his book Atomic Habits. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason that you'll stick with one is that it becomes a part of your identity. So how do you actually change your current identity to someone who is pursuing financial independence? Repeating small steps that will slowly transform you into someone who is FI. If you're anything like me, then you're probably going to want to make huge changes all at once, but that probably isn't the most optimal way to go about it. We're going for longevity here, so flipping everything upside down at once could turn into a complete disaster, especially if you have a significant other or kids that you're trying to get on board with this pursuit. You'll want to focus on the 1% better habit. So every day or every week, just try to get 1% better with the actions that are going to get you a little closer to FI. The biggest bang for your buck in terms of this will be increasing your income and investing more money. For investing, you can make it something like, okay, what can I do to increase my retirement contributions by, we'll say, 1% every 1 or 2 months. When it comes to increasing your income, you can think about different skills that you can work on every day that you know will have a direct impact on increasing your income over the long run. Even if you work on this for, we'll say, 30 minutes a day, that's 182 hours per year that you've put into income producing skills that you didn't have before. The main point of trying to get 1% better every day or every week is to reinforce to yourself that you are the type of person who is actually pursuing financial independence. Doing all of this will only take you so far, though. That's where getting in the habit of joining and engaging with a group of like-minded people who are pursuing the same thing as you can take you to a whole different level. We've all been a part of some sort of community out there to know that multiple heads are better than one. When you're in your own little day-to-day bubble, it can feel like you're the only one on this financial independence journey. But in reality, there are a ton of people spread across the world doing this exact same thing that you've never met before. Some of the best benefits are that you're able to ask questions, share ideas, give encouragement, and even hold each other accountable. Finding like-minded people who you can trust and nerd out with about a shared interest is a lot of fun and super helpful. I'm personally a part of a few communities like this, and it is a complete game changer. Now, I don't think that I've mentioned this before, but about 3 years ago, I started getting together with other creators 2 to 4 times per month to talk about YouTube stuff. Over time, we've become really good friends, learned more, and gotten better in so many areas a lot faster than if we were all doing these things on our own. To be honest, I probably talk to them as much, if not more, than my friends in real life. Okay, that sounded weird. What I mean is my group of friends that I've been friends with since we were little kids, so we'll say for over 25 years. I was wondering how I could start this sort of thing for people pursuing financial independence, so I decided that I'm going to start a private community. It'll be based in Discord where everyone can talk about different topics, and then we'll have scheduled private live streams on a regular basis as well. I was going to start it this year, but I decided to wait. I think now is a good time, so there will be a link in the description of this video to get on the waiting list. Once those internet doors officially open, I'll send out an email. As much as a group of people can help, you're still going to need to get into the habit of adjusting your standards. How the rest of the world looks at things is going to be a lot different from someone who is on the path to FI. You almost need to make a mental adjustment when it comes to saving, spending, and investing. For example, the recommendation experts give is to set 10 to 20% of your money aside for investing, and then you should be good to go for when you want to retire at 65. But for obvious reasons, that just doesn't work for someone who wants to be in a position to quit their job or do something else a lot sooner than 65. This is where financial independence people are complete outliers. The standard rules do not always apply to us. While I was on a hike this morning, I was trying to think through if there was a minimum that I'd recommend someone be investing to be able to reach FI sooner. The rough number that I came up with is at least 40% of your after-tax income. So if you currently earn, we'll say $100,000 per year with a savings rate of 40%, then you should be financially independent in about 19 years. If you're able to bump that up to 50%, then FI should be reached in about 15 years. I probably don't have to state the obvious here, but I will anyways. A higher income or combining two people's income makes this a lot more attainable. Good habits in general aren't the easiest to keep up on. They rarely feel good to do in the moment, but over the long run, we know that the payoff can be massive. This probably sounds strange to say, but you need to master the habit of starting over during this whole FI process. Let's take the last example of saving 50% of your income. 15 years is quite a long time to be working towards this one goal without any unforeseen issues coming up. If I had to bet, then I'd guess that there's a fairly high likelihood that you're going to fall off the wagon at some point because of things that are inside and or outside of your control. I repeat, not rooting against you. I actually hope that everything goes swimmingly because my default is to be optimistic the majority of the time. Look, your attitude is everything, and I think being both optimistic and pessimistic are important. But if I had to measure them against each other in terms of, we'll say, a meal, then I'd say that you want the main course to be optimism with a small side dish of pessimism. No one likes a delusional optimist, and no one likes a delusional pessimist. So unlike those people who play on their phones while they're driving, let's try to stay in the middle of the lines on this one. During those times when you have to slow down the process just a little bit, you need to be able to put it behind you and keep going. Channel your inner Elon Musk. Tesla almost went bankrupt twice between 2017 and 2019. Literally a month away from shutting its doors. Could you imagine? Not only is he a legend because his tweets make me smile, but he's a legend for continuing to push through those really dark times when all signals were pointing towards failure. Saving money can definitely help you reach financial independence sooner, but it's not going to move the needle in a meaningful way. Let me rephrase that so I don't start a death metal concert type riot in the comments. After saving money in the big areas, so housing and transportation, your time isn't always best spent pinching pennies in other areas. The overly frugal people don't want to hear this, but it has to be said. I'm talking about things like cutting coupons, driving out of your way to save a few cents on gas, only flushing the toilet every 5th time that you go to the restroom, or buying overly processed garbage food that is horrible for you but costs less than quality food. People who reach FI sooner are focused more on increasing their income and moving that money into income-producing assets as opposed to spending their time pinching pennies. It's like stepping over dollars to chase pennies. Your time is better spent focusing on raises and generating more income, not the 50-cent coupon to save money on, we'll say, a pack of toilet paper. I'm not saying that you should completely stop trying to be a little mindful with your spending, but you'll get to a point where saving more money in certain areas will decrease your quality of life along the way. I made a video a few years ago about how my savings rate was 69%. It was technically 70%, but we're going to round down to 69% for obvious reasons. Now, the following year, my savings rate jumped from 14% to 83%. None, I repeat, none of that increase came from pinching more pennies. It came from achieving the optimal amount of money that I was willing to comfortably spend every month, then focusing my time on increasing my income. To get an idea of what your definition of enough is, it helps to give yourself some space before making certain money decisions. Mastering this habit will help move you closer to FI sooner. Cutting your spending is done after the fact, and it's kind of an annoying process. You have to go back to try to right all of the dumb decisions that you made in the past because you weren't paying attention. But if we can get ahead of the situation before it becomes a problem, then everything becomes way easier. I swear, life is set up for us to spend money without even thinking twice about it. Amazon and their one-click buy button, annoying salespeople who pretend to be our friend, and of course those little old ladies in the grocery store who are obsessed with getting us to shove little wieners in our mouth for free. Always give yourself a 24 to 72 hour waiting period before buying things over a certain dollar amount. Now my personal number is at $100 right now, or I guess if we take into account today's inflation, it's more like $300? I'm just kidding, it's still $100. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you go. There's a link in the description for that private financial independence community. Down there, you'll also find more resources and playlists to help with all of your financial independence needs. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Done.